Welcome to the DBS's Insights for Business Leaders. Today's topic is focused on liquidity management in unprecedented times. We'll be discussing current situational insights and strategic actions for corporates and large SMEs alike to manage company liquidity amidst the unprecedented social, economic, and financial upheavals caused by COVID-19. My name is Mark Trotman, and I am the Group Head of Sales for DBS's Global Transaction Services. My team and I work with large corporates and institutional clients, as well as SMEs across Asia and between Asia and the West. Managing liquidity is important to companies of all sizes in the best of times. And when dealing with the unknown, as a recent article by the Association of Corporate Treasurers suggested, planning for the worst and hoping for the best, to borrow a line from Benjamin Disraeli, is indeed really wise advice. My guests today are Tessie Matthew, Head of Cash Product Management for Singapore, and Navinder Dugal, Group Head of SME, both from DBS's Global Transaction Services. In this video, we'll cover three practical aspects of managing liquidity in the current climate. Namely, 1, gaining tighter visibility and control over available cash. 2, enabling contact-free B2B and B2C sales. And 3, digitalizing finance-related operations. To start off, let's take a quick pulse check on the current top-of-mind issues companies are facing right now, both large and small companies. Naveen, if I can ask you first, what are you seeing with SMEs?
It's not very clear how extensively the COVID-19 virus will continue to spread or how long it will continue to disrupt. The lockdown and the supply chain disruptions have seriously impacted many of our SME businesses. In many cases, it is almost a matter of survival through this difficult period. Businesses, particularly in sectors like tourism, hospitality, entertainment, travel, have been particularly hard hit in the short term. Businesses in consumer goods and retail are also getting impacted. Now, the impact on startups or the small businesses can be way more brutal, as they have less cash reserves and an ability to navigate through these sudden slumps. So therefore, cash flow management becomes the absolute number one priority for the small businesses.
Naveen, thanks. Tessie, for larger companies, what are you seeing?
So while most treasurers already had liquidity, credit, and FX risk strategies and continuity plans in place before the unfolding of the COVID situations, scenarios that seemed almost inconceivable and only in theory have shifted to reality very quickly. We are witnessing a demand and supply shock both at the same time, and that is going to stretch the working capital and liquidity requirements for many, many industries. Now, businesses across the spectrum are dealing with major disruptions to their supply chain, to the manufacturing and sales demands, and domestic and cross-border trade are severely impacted by the extraordinary skews in supply and demand. So in addition to the clear and essential role that treasuries play in stabilizing the financial resilience of an organization during crisis, there are also opportunities to rapidly adopt digital solutions and processes in the way that companies interact with the banks and with their clients. So for instance, digitizing the very traditional paper-based sales process to that of an electronic one, or ensuring that the digital sales channels are part of the business strategy. Leveraging cloud platforms, API technologies, and new instant payment infrastructure in this market is absolutely required to support the digitization across the enterprise. So challenges remain and will continue to persist for coming months. DBS is providing digital and liquidity solutions, as well as pragmatic advice to help companies to manage their liquidity safely across entities, borders, and currencies.
It's clear that these almost near universal challenges are faced by businesses across the continuum. It includes disruptions across B2C and B2B sales due to lockdown, demand issues more broadly, and even issues across the extended supply chains, all of which clearly throw BAU out of the window. Constraints on working capital are also clear. Corporates and SMEs must adjust their priorities and recognize that cash is king. There's also heightened risks, not only from customers not being able to pay where credit had already been extended, but also from fraud. So Tessie, what practical steps can companies take in securing their liquidity right now?
So, managing liquidity is a core treasury priority that has become even more pronounced now. It's about going back to the basics: visibility, control, and risk management. Let me elaborate. First things first, where is my cash? Treasurers need to know how much cash they have, where is it, and how fast they can use it to meet the changing liquidity requirements across businesses. Under this current situation, accessing information on liquidity positions is even more challenging than it was before. Hence, visibility with multi-bank reporting, liquidity management real-time dashboards, or better still, tools like on-demand or scheduled API calls for balance reporting has become critical. Such visibility will also prevent or greatly reduce any potential fraud. Secondly, taking control of cash in order to enhance yield, manage cash flow, and maximize liquidity, and to do it as automated as possible. This also means taking the necessary steps to work with the procurement and the sales teams for getting timely and better visibility of the AP and AR books to ensure that the cash forecasting is sufficiently accurate. We are helping treasurers and companies to integrate the banking data and services into their own systems and business processes. With this, Treasury can make prompt decisions on refinancing, availability of credit facilities, maturity of short-term holdings, etc. And thirdly, importantly, what are the processes and controls around managing risk, including cyber attack and payment frauds with increased work from home setups. And treasurers need to know that the cash is secure. And we've also seen in more difficult times, there is a strong trend among treasurers to have cash moved to safe havens. That is, banks with high credit ratings, strong balance sheets, as well as secure digital setups.
Many companies have pivoted in the short term to continue their operations, albeit online, and at times even creating new business lines. What new tools exist for companies to implement this sort of contact-free sales enablement?
Liquidity solutions and digital solutions, which at the end of the day are highly interconnected. So when treasurers think about liquidity, they think about cash in bank, liquid bonds, which during this period had become very liquid, and working capital lines. And we've seen a number of companies draw down on their revolving facilities. And many companies have experienced unplanned and unexpected liquidity constraints, resulting in a change in the way that treasurers think about their sources of liquidity. So as much as possible, companies should leverage on their internal sources of funding with liquidity management tools such as cash concentration, notional pooling, interest optimization, etc., to obtain centralized control over cash. We've seen a growing number of companies use is balance sharing to channel liquidity between entities. DBS balance sharing allows companies to sweep balances from entities with a surplus to that of one with a deficit without the need to set up an intraday or an overdraft limit agreement. Treasury retains visibility over the net cash position and can take a more strategic and approach to analyzing and addressing the working capital needs at a regional or at a group level. Recently, we worked with a Canadian multinational to create an efficient liquidity structure which comprised of over 300 accounts to optimize the use of the cash held in multiple accounts across multiple geographies. Just imagine how inefficient, intensive, and time-consuming this process would have been, especially during this period, and not to mention the fragmented and the poorly managed liquidity. Secondly, and of equal importance, is to continue to leverage on digital banking for facilitating the flow of funds and reconciliation. We have seen a very large number of clients, traditional clients, move very quickly to electronic channels during this period to digitize their payment and documentation submissions. Customers are also connecting to us via DBS Rapid within record time to get access to a comprehensive suite of API solutions from FX bookings to payments to balance reporting. So we see that the progressive use of APIs for immediate settlement and information management can offer Treasury enhanced capability such as improved accuracy of forecast, faster reconciliation, and tighter management of credit extension to their counterparts. And it is really crucial in this time of the COVID-19 disruptions. Tracking of cross-border remittances via Swift GPI, making receivables seamless via solutions such as domestic QR-based collections. We have Pay Now, UPI, FPS, etc. Virtual accounts and recon tools, etc. are all available to better equip a company with visibility over cash. At the end of the day, we foresee that the treasury and technology is going to become and will become more interconnected and interdependent as organizations embark upon this accelerated adoption of digital tools in response to the COVID-19 crisis.
SMEs, it's clear, are key to corporate supply chains. You touched on it in your comments. They're indeed the lifeblood of our economies across Asia and indeed around the world. Naveen, from your vantage point, do SMEs manage their liquidity in the same way? What's critical actually for them right now?
For SMEs, although their requirements are much simpler, to plan for the future, business owners need to assess the situation both from a demand as well as from a supply side. On the demand side, for instance, the immediate and as well as the future impact on customer demand and buying behavior is changing. This would have a direct impact on sales and cash flow from a liquidity point of view. Likewise, the impact on supply chains, logistics, as well as inventory becomes extremely crucial in this phase. Having access to on-demand bank facilities and having adequate cash at hand for working capital is a very big plus for SMEs. Cash forecasting becomes extremely important. Ability to have visibility on accounts payable, accounts receivable, gives you that ability to forecast much better. Focus on all the three components of working capital, including payables, receivables, as well as inventory. Companies can make use of techniques to extend payables intelligently, working with your suppliers. You can expedite receivables. You can even consider alternate supply chain financing options such as factoring or maybe even dynamic discounting solutions. Your banks can work with you on these solutions. I want to point out one very other crucial aspect in this current situation. In most countries, the governments are rolling out relief measures, especially targeted at the small businesses and for the workers. Low-cost loans are available via banks to help businesses tide over. In Singapore, for instance, SMEs can make use of the ESG loan schemes. There's a SME working capital loan. There's a temporary bridging loan program with very generous terms. From a bank perspective, we have schemes available for principal moratorium on secured term loans. We have all the ESG loans we can disburse to our SME customers. And we also have digital business loans. We have extension of import facilities, so our customers have more time to realize the sales proceeds. We have also put in place waivers of processing certain transaction fees. So there's a whole range of solutions or facilities that are being made available to our SME customers. Let me just round off by giving one more example for our F&B customers, and that's a sector that's clearly under stress. We have worked with fintechs to put together a solution where companies can create an online presence, as a lot of the transactions are now going online. We can help them with digital marketing. We have tie-ups for delivery services. So a combination of all these, the government schemes, what the banks are doing, and some of these relief packages, businesses would find it useful in this current situation.
It's clear from both of your comments that in these challenging times, whether SMEs or corporates, businesses need to revisit the fundamentals of liquidity management. They need to accelerate the adoption of digital collection channels and the available banking tools. And to the extent that they can, they should also be leveraging the available relief measures. On this note, let me thank you for watching this video and stay tuned for our next one in the series. Until then, see you again. Stay well, stay safe. Thank you.